In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can land high-ticket sales roles that you're not even qualified to land in the first place without any previous experience and as a complete beginner, okay? And big disclaimer before we get into this, please use these tactics ethically, okay? The stuff I'm going to share with you in this video is extremely powerful. It works very well. I've used it myself. My students have used it. It works at a very high level. Because of that, you need to make sure that you use this in an ethical way. I don't want anyone watching this video going out and lying to companies or doing anything that's not in their own or the company's best interest, okay? So that's a big disclaimer. Before we get into this, use this ethically. So with that being said, let's get into this. And first off, why should you even listen to me in the first place? Okay, so I've closed over $3 million in high ticket sales myself. I've taken thousands of sales calls. I've worked for some of the biggest offers in the space, names that you probably already know about, that you're familiar with. Because of that, obviously, I've landed multiple 15, 20, 30K per month offers myself. And I've also helped hundreds of other people do the exact same thing through my inner circle. So I've done this myself. I've done this for other people. I know what it takes. And I also do sales management. So I'm kind of on the other side of this as well, where I actually hire and fire sales reps myself. So I know exactly how this works. So now let's talk about exactly how you get hired into killer roles that you're not even qualified for as a complete beginner. First off, we need to understand what your current constraints are that's holding you back from doing this at the moment, okay? And there's a couple of different ones that I see usually in beginners and that I used to have myself in the beginning. So I want to run through this. First off, I'm new into this space. I don't really have any experience, which makes me not attractive for good roles. It's a limiting belief. I can't land a good role because everyone else is better and more experienced than me. Miss trying out remote high-ticket sales to see if it's going to work out or not. Or the most common one that massively is holding you back right now, probably from landing your dream role, which is, I'm just here for the money. If you believe that any of these different things are true for yourself, that is massively holding you back from landing the role that could literally change your life. So I'm going to break down exactly how you can actually overcome that and finally land a role. Because if you're watching this, you probably already know that a good remote sales role can completely change your life. Exactly like it did for me. It took me from being a broke kid to completely changing my life, traveling the world, getting freedom. And here is the reason why you're stuck, is because when you think these things, as mentioned right here, then the result is that you speak from your current identity. When you do outreach, when you send out interview videos, when you show up to interviews, you speak from your current identity, which is the biggest reason why you're stuck right now, why you can't land roles. If you can shift this in a very simple way, I'm going to share with you in just a second, you will be able to land literally any role that you want. What happens here though is you speak from your current identity, you show up in a very weak way, and you downplay yourself in these interviews, in these intro videos and in your outreach, which means that the company that you're talking to, they don't really buy into, don't believe that they actually should hire you on their team, which means that you don't land a role or you only land shitty roles, aka you have a shit life. So how do we fix this? Okay, it's very simple. First off, understand that manifestation is not BS. You've probably been told by some 9-to-5 or some broke guy when you've been younger that manifestation is just like this woo-woo thing. You should just work hard and manifestation doesn't work and blah. Manifestation does work, okay? I literally, every single good role that I've landed, I manifested through my actions and through my mindset that I had in place before coming onto those interviews and doing outreach, okay? So understand that when you're trying to land a role, you cannot be speaking from your current identity, especially if you don't have any experience, okay? What we need to be doing here is we need to be speaking from the identity that we're building, okay? We need to be speaking from the version of you that's making, let's say, 5K, 10K, 15K, 20K, whatever your goal is in high-ticket sales. You need to be talking from that identity right now and bringing that person into this moment. That's how you land killer roles, okay? Basically, when you eliminate your current version of yourself, your current identity, you 1.0, and fully step into 2.0 version of yourself in terms of how you speak, in terms of how you move. Before that is your reality. That is exactly what manifestation is all about, and that's the key to landing good roles. I read a lot of books from billionaires and watched a lot of interviews and podcasts with people that are extremely successful. And one of the most common traits for ultra successful people is they're extremely assertive, okay? That's exactly what this is about. If you want to land a good high-ticket sales role without a lot of experience, you need to be extremely assertive as well. So what does that mean? It means that these people, they put themselves into situations that they're not yet ready for, and they trust their own ability to figure shit out as they go, okay? We've usually been programmed by society, in our upbringing through school, that we need to prepare, and we should never say yes to anything or take on a challenge that we're not already ready for. We go around and you're probably just waiting to okay, I need to have more experience. I need to build myself up and qualify myself for a role. And that is true to a certain degree, because obviously you need to somewhat know what you're doing to actually land a high ticket sales role. You need to do some type of practicing and learn some scripts and actually have an idea of what you're doing. But at the end of the day, you're never going to get into a killer role unless you just are willing to jump into something and trust your own ability to figure shit out later, okay? When I landed my first high-ticket sales role, I remember being in that interview and I didn't really have an idea of like what I was doing. They asked me some questions like, do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do this? And I said yes to those different things, even though I had no idea how to do that, because I just trusted my own ability to figure shit out later. And that's so important. That's the biggest thing I want to take away from this video is if you can be assertive, if you can just put yourself in these rooms and just jump into the deep end basically and trust your ability to just figure out how to swim when you get in the water, then you will win. Okay. Super, super key trait that you need to have to land killer sales roles. And this was exactly how I got started because obviously first off, when I got into the space, I didn't have any experience. So what I did is I jumped in before I knew how to swim and I trusted my own ability to figure shit out as I went. And as a result of that, I figured it out. As a result of that, I landed my first role. But if I would have shown up to that interview and been like, yes, I don't actually have these qualifications, I don't really know how to do this, I'm kind of unsure, they wouldn't have bought into me and they wouldn't have hired me. Okay, super important there. I spoke from the identity that I was building, not my current one. That's why I got hired, that's why I landed a role, and that's how I ended up changing my life. You create your opportunity to prove yourself by showing up with conviction in your ability to figure shit out as you go. So now let's talk about how to actually do this and how do we actually land a role in this industry. Okay, first off, understand that landing a role itself is sales. A lot of people don't understand this, but if you can show up in your videos, in your interviews and showcase that you're already good at sales, but selling yourself instead of selling some product, then you will land roles. Okay, because another day what you're doing on an interview, especially when you have little experience, is you're trying to get the person to buy into you. You know, think of yourself as a stock. You know, you're trying to get the person you're talking to buy into you. And buy into why you're going to crush it on their team. Because these companies, especially good companies, they simply want to hire hungry people, you know. So all you need to do on an interview is very, very simple. All you need to do in your videos and in your outreach is showcase that you are someone that's going to come in and work hard and someone who's hungry, okay? If you can do this and you can make them buy into you almost like a stock here, you will get hired regardless if you don't have any experience. So now the question is, how do you actually make these companies buy into you, okay? And how we do that is by using stories, okay? Stories sell is one of the most powerful techniques that's been used for thousands of years to make sales and is convince people and be very persuasive, is using relevant stories, okay? What we want to do specifically is use stories that these people can relate to. If you can tell stories that they can really buy into, you know, they can almost see themselves in you, that's going to land extremely well. They're going to buy into you. Like I said before, they're going to look at you as a stock that they want to invest to, and they're going to bring you on their team, okay? And also tell them stories that showcase that you have what it takes to crush it in the role, okay? So some examples here. Let's say when you were younger, you were an athlete, okay? You were extremely disciplined, showed up in whatever sport you were playing or going to the gym, or let's say you lost a lot of weight, whatever it is. You want to build out these stories from your own life that showcases that you have what it takes to be extremely disciplined, hungry, and work hard, okay? So, example here is, I was an athlete when I was younger. I worked out, let's say 10 times every single week. I learned how to push myself to the limit, and I learned how to stay consistent over long amounts of time. This is very attractive to these business owners and these sales managers. They're going to want to hire someone who's showcased that they can be disciplined previously in their life. Even if this is not specifically sales related, it showcases who you are as a person, aka makes them buy into you. Another example here is, this is a bit different, but I'm not just here to make money. I'm here because I know that sales is the most important skill that I've dedicated the next 2 to 3 years of my life to mastering, and you can go on about why you think it's the most important skill, etc., etc. This is something that I use a lot to land my first couple of roles, because what this does, it separates you from everyone else. Everyone else just like shows up to the interview and is like, yeah, I want to make a lot of money. I want to just do this for my own reasons, you know. With this, you show that you have a passion for the skill. Okay, that's something that the business owners, the people that you're talking to that are interviewing you and looking at your applications, they're going to massively buy into you if you can show that you have passion for something outside of just the money and that you've dedicated yourself towards mastering the skill. So build out these stories, you know, get very clear on yourself, like where you're going, what's your background, what type of proof do you have. Build that into stories, and then you use that in your outreach, in your videos, and on your interviews. And that alone is going to separate yourself from 99% of people that are trying to get roles. But that is not enough though, okay? Because here's the thing. 2 individuals can say the exact same words in their videos, in their outreach, or on an interview, but get completely different results. One might get hired and one might not get hired. And the reason for that is because of how you say it, how you actually communicate, your tonality, your conviction, the weight behind the words that you're saying, okay? If you sound scripted, if you sound very robotic, if you sound like you're just reading off some like text that you've written out before, you're not going to land a role, okay? Especially if you're talking to a good company, they've seen this time and time again where people reach out to them and they sound super robotic. You can always tell like they have a script that they're reading off of. That's completely going to fuck your chance of getting a role. So what you need to do here is you need to show up as your authentic self. Prepare these stories, but then when you show up to your interview, when you do your interview videos, you need to completely detach from that and just be your real, natural, normal self. Just like if you go with friends to like a restaurant or a bar or whatever, you need to be chill, relaxed, and just be genuine. The more genuine you can be, the more the companies you're talking to, the people that you're talking to are going to connect with you, they're going to buy into you, and you're more likely to land a role. Okay? This is a massive thing because the more you're human and like it's like a chill, cool person you can be, the more people are going to buy into you. Companies don't want to hire you if you're like super uptight and you seem super robotic, because at the end of the day, this is a sales role, you know, so you're going to come into a role where you're supposed to communicate with people. So if you can't just be a chill, normal, genuine, and like happy, upbeat person, be smiling and seem like a normal, chill person, you're not going to land a role. So this is super, super key stuff here. Show up as your authentic self. That makes them buy into you. Be chill, relax, just have fun on these interviews and interview videos. And also understand that you're going to feel nervous. It's going to be uncomfortable. Accept that. Okay. So you've been programmed by the society and like by your upbringing that when you feel scared, when you feel nervous, that's a bad thing. In reality, it's not, especially if your goal is to do extremely well in high ticket sales, become an entrepreneur, make a lot of money. One of the biggest things that helped me on my journey is understanding that you're supposed to move towards the things that scare you. The more you can do that, the more you can move into uncertainty, stop planning, stop thinking about stuff and stop pushing stuff off and just like step into uncertainty. And just push yourself into rooms that you're not comfortable in yet, and just trust your ability to figure shit out, the more success that you will see. Here's a quote that I love, which is, courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is having something else that's more important than the fear. All that means is that you need to have something else, aka your success and your goals are more important to you than the fear that you're experiencing on the path towards getting there. So please just accept that you're going to feel nervous. You're going to be very uncomfortable, but that's part of this game. If you just jump into it, you start getting the reps in, you suck in the beginning, eventually you get good, you land a killer role. Because remember, all it takes to literally completely change your life in about 3 to 6 months is landing one good remote sales role. That is literally it. And when you've done that, when you've landed that role, when you started making your first 5, 10K a month, when you left your hometown, started traveling, got in that freedom that you're always looking for, you're going to look back at this and be so thankful that you took these uncomfortable steps. You stepped into uncertainty in the beginning because that's what got you there. So now you have two different options. Either you go out, you implement this stuff, you actually take action and you get results, or you stay inside of your comfort zone, you don't do shit. If you want my help to do any of these different things, I have a one-on-one coaching program where I help you get trained up on the skill set, get placed into good high-ticket sales roles from my own network. If you want that help, you can book a call on this video, chat with me directly, see if you're a good fit. If you have any questions, DM me on Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.